The particular bear that we're going to discuss here is called by name Grizzly Bear US Borax number 14. And the US Borax number 14 reflects the US Borax Mining Company and then a digital number of 14 for individual identification. But the reason that the mining company has their particular name on a particular bear that's in a study area and a area they're trying to promote the population numbers is because in 1985, and I believe for some years since, each mining company has contributed significantly to the recovery of these endangered species. Now, the understanding is that if each mining company were to contribute, and the last time I reviewed the documents, it was a set rate of $154,000 annually per bear that's in the study area that is tagged with that individual mine's name and number on the collar, that if they do contribute this money, large amount of money, to the recovery of the grizzly bear, then they are considered for mining permits necessary to extract minerals from inside the wilderness area or immediately adjacent to it on national forest land. So U.S. Borax, by having their name on this collar, it's obvious that they are part of the program and they have contributed to the United States Forest Service and the grizzly bear recovery team. Moving along, this particular bear, U.S. Borax number 14, was captured on June 19th of 1985 in the Big Cherry Creek drainage immediately south of Libby, Montana. The head biologist in charge of this activity was Wayne Kasworm. He also testified at the trial when I was prosecuted in the citation related to the death of U.S. Borax 14. I'd like to talk a minute about the bear, who he was, what he was. It was a male bear, estimated 27 years old. That is an old timer in the woods out here, and 27 years old is probably one of the oldest bears I can recall. This bear, at the time of his trapping, weighed estimated 350 pounds. The bear, other than the damage incurred during during the time he hung in an aldrich leg snare, which is a cable that they set in like a snare, and the cable is strong enough to hold an angry grizzly bear, but they get their foot in it and up around the ankle. It has a compression and slip knot with stops on it, and when it tightens up, it cuts circulation. And it also, in this particular incident, with the bear fighting the cable, it broke his leg. During the lengthy time that the bear was hanging in this leg snare, he had no food, he had no water, he had constant pain. So the capture report also says color, size of his pads, which are conducive with an age of a 27-year-old bear, 27-inch size neck, zoological length, nose to tail, 73, shoulder height, 34 inches, heart girth, 43 inches around him, tooth wear, heavy. This was an old bear before his terror of being in a cable foot snare started him down his path towards his end. And his subsequent, or not subsequent, his prophetic encounter with me. The bear, at the time of his capture and after his rampage and tearing himself apart, was also examined and determined to only have one testicle left. He had multiple fractures in his jaw. To an educated man of the woods, you could obviously see this bear would never eat another bite of food. He could not compress it. He would have to lick water because he could not drink. This bear, by every regulation in existence, theirs, humanity's laws, everybody else's laws, should have been destroyed on sight, euthanized as a merciful gesture to the bear. By releasing him, they sentenced that bear to suffer on, but keep making them money. He was also herded by aerial encounters in a direct line toward private camps that I had in the area, and an eventual, inevitable encounter with me. The bear was drugged, according to the capture report from 6/19/85. The bear was drugged. They attempted 3 doses of ketamine, and that will definitely lay you low. At the bottom of the capture report, notes taken by Mr. Kasworm, the official in charge of this capture, he writes that the jaw was broken across the front left corner, also lower canine, also several incisors were broken. But I will tell you that after the encounter and the bear's death, that I had a chance to personally visualize the mouth and examine it. And all of the bone and the teeth between the 2 lower canines was missing. The bone and the teeth in between was missing. The jaw was broke off and hanging. And I didn't realize at the time that he was on top of me, chewing on me, that he couldn't chew on me, but his upper canines were broke at angles, which made them like razor blades. And I was receiving superficial lacerations. When I thought I was being chewed, I was being sliced. At the time the bear was on top of me, I had no knowledge of any collar. Everything was happening too fast, moving way too fast for me to capture any moment, any photo moment. I could not do that. I didn't know the damage to the bear at the time of the attack. I still didn't know the damage to the bear at the time that we were all arrested for trial. But I anonymously got this capture report in the mail while we were preparing for trial. Somebody in the Department of Fish, Wildlife, and Parks with access to this capture report had a conscience and forwarded this capture report for me to use in my defense. Now, when we got to court, there was a whole different version about this. That this bear, it was said that this bear was doing quite fine. There was nothing wrong with this bear's eating habits, the ability. So what was the big deal? Well, I've stated what the big deal was. The bear was starving to death. This bear did not deserve the treatment that it received. I made a mental note when this bear, when I figured out that this bear had been broken up by agents of the federal government, I made a mental note to say to myself, how long did that bear live off of just the fat on his body? And it was 92 days. They say that these bears can live up to a year off of, and never consume any food, just off of what fat they have, if they're healthy when they go in. This bear right here, this document says that he weighed 350 pounds when they trapped him and released him in a mortal condition, that he weighed 350 pounds. His frame was still big, but the weight had fallen off, like he had anorexia. He was emaciated. To conceal that physical degradation, the night that the bear was killed, we went back up the mountain and spent the night at the kill site, at the attack site, and all of the parties, the officials, agreed that they didn't want to bring the emaciated carcass back into public view. So they had me assist them, and we skinned the bear, and they extracted the head, the hide, and left the carcass on the mountain for the birds and the other bears to get rid of it, which created a lot of suspicion in me. Why would you do that? Are you hiding something? So I went back up and I got the bear and brought it down and turned it into Dr. Jonkel at the university, and he came to the trial and testified. I grew up in the Cabinet Mountains wilderness area, where it's the incubator for this grizzly bear recovery team. This is the mother nest area that these bears hibernate in, summer in, breed in, repopulate in. I've been on individual trips into that wilderness where I came close to 7 individual different bears, grizzly bears. I have never had one time when I was 16 years old until now that I ever thought that I had to be afraid of seeing a grizzly bear in that wilderness area. These bears have their role in the world, and so do I, and it seems like there's a respect line in between. We had no problems. It was just sad the way this bear was busted up and turned loose to suffer in horror at his injuries. And I'll tell you, this bear did not deserve what he got.